Mark Sponsler from stormsurf.com, and here's the surf forecast for the Hawaiian Islands for the week starting Friday, November 11th. Brought to you by your surf authority, expert advice, and friendly staff, Hawaiian South Shore. Be sure and like and subscribe. Ring the bell. You get automatic notifications when the videos are posted, typically on Friday afternoons. All right, let's get to work. We're going to do a quick look at surf on the South Shore. Barbers Point buoy number 238. We're looking at all the energy in the water, anywhere from up to 33-second period energy, which there is none, down to pure wind chop, 5-second period, which there's very little. See a little bit of bump of something at 18, 17 seconds on the buoy. Pure swell, integrating all this information together. 0.9 feet at 17 seconds. That's about 1.5 foot. And that's about what the surf is. It's, that's 1.5 foot Hawaiian. It's about waist high, maybe a little bit bigger on the bigger sets, top spots, but just generally fun size surf, safe and playful. And then go take a quick look at Waimea Bay on the North Shore, buoy number 106. Again, all the energy present. Most of it is in the, we'll say the 9 to 11 or 12 second period. Pure wind swell. It's 2.9 feet at 11.7 seconds. That's 3.4 foot Hawaiian. Yeah, there's some like shoulder high set, something like this, but this is all pure northeast wind, trade wind generated wind swell. So no deep ground swell in the water at the moment. So going back in time a week ago, and we're looking in the southern hemi, New Zealand here, Australia here, Ross Ice Shelf, Antarctica. The swell window for Hawaii is down here. It takes about a week for a swell from this area to reach up to the south shore of the Hawaiian Islands. A little gale passed under New Zealand on Friday with 25, 26 foot seas, and by Sunday it was all but gone. Looking beyond that through this past week, literally nothing of any interest has pushed through the Hawaiian swell window. So there's just that one little pulse of swell coming north. And then looking forward to the coming week, a little bit of a gale is forecast Saturday. That's tomorrow, the 12th of November, southeast of New Zealand with 26, 27 foot seas, pretty much all aimed at Antarctica. Maybe a tiny little bit of sideband energy will reach up into the Hawaiian Islands. But after that, yes, there are storms forecast, but they're all in the far southeast Pacific. The cutoff for the Hawaiian Islands about 157 west right here. Any storm that's east of this area will not reach up into the Hawaiian Islands unless some miracle occurs. So South Shore pretty much winding down, last little pulse heading north. But for the North Shore, it's a totally different story. We're going to do the deep dive here. Start up looking at jet stream level winds. These winds are up at about 30,000 feet. They help support the formation of gales. And when they form, help direct their track. We're looking for a trough. There's the remnant of a trough right here. It's a dip in the jet to the south. That helps create a counterclockwise flow aloft and down at the ocean surface. And of course, counterclockwise flow in the northern hemi is the hallmark of low pressure. Low pressure, if it's deep enough, generates winds. Winds, if they're strong enough, generate seas. They get traction on the ocean surface. Those seas, as they radiate away from the fetch area, turn into swell. Swell, when it hits your beach, turns into surf. So we have sort of a split jet stream flow over Japan, but consolidated on the dateline. A deeper trough was in this area a couple days ago. The remnants of it are pushing up into Alaska as we speak. That said, another trough is to develop on Saturday, the 12th of November, push north of the Hawaiian Islands, and then start digging deeper. Look at this. The more wind energy you get into the west side of a trough, the stronger the low will be, and certainly the more energy aimed at your beach. That looks pretty good. Hawaii is right down here, right at the bottom of the trough. Good opportunity for swell development in that trough, and the trough continues in some fashion, almost getting cut off on Tuesday into Wednesday, November 16th, and then everything sort of falls apart after that for a little bit. But then there's suggestions that maybe yet another trough is going to start developing here in the far west Pacific over the dateline long term. So fingers crossed. Maybe more to come. Let's go take a look down at the surface. Here we are, surface level pressure, surface level winds, remnant of a gale previously over the dateline. It's fading in the western Gulf of Alaska as we speak, but no sooner than that fades out, another gale started to develop and is pushing off the Kuril Islands on Saturday, forecast to push over the dateline, kind of weak, but then starts building again on Sunday with 45-knot winds pushing south and holding in that area with 40 to 45-knot winds aimed south at the Hawaiian Islands, while something else starts developing over on the other side of the dateline, but most of the energy from that heading up to the north This system still producing 30 to 35 knot winds on Tuesday evening, the 15th of November, aimed at the Hawaiian Islands. That's a good thing. And yet, here comes another system forecast over the dateline on Thursday, the 17th of November, with 45 knot winds, again aimed well at the Hawaiian Islands and continuing in some fashion into next weekend. So, a total of 3 potential systems aimed at the Hawaiian Islands likely to generate surf. Let's go take a look at the effect of those winds on the ocean surface. Now we're going back in time to Wednesday, November 9th, just a couple days ago. A gale, a storm started developing on the dateline. Dateline's right here, 180 degrees west, with, about 35-foot seas, building to 40 feet. And almost 41 feet on Thursday. Now, Hawaii's down here. This system originally was supposed to be further south and aimed better at the Hawaiian Islands. So, there was a lot of hype around a potentially larger swell coming to Hawaii. Much more modest now, but that's probably a good thing given that it's early in the year and everyone's a little bit rusty. And as we get into Friday today, that system started fading in the Gulf of Alaska. Let's go take a look at the forecast. All right, now moving forward, this next system, this is on Saturday, pushing over the dateline, not very impressive at all, but secondary energy is to build in association with it and north of the Hawaiian Islands, sending fetch at like 26, 27-foot seas aimed south at the Hawaiian Islands and holding into Wednesday. The other system here on the dateline heading north and of no interest. But then yet another system is forecast behind that on Thursday, the 17th of November, and building with 28 to 30-foot seas aimed at the Hawaiian Islands with potential for more swell. Looking good. Now, the real issue on all this is going to be wind, and this is a very high-level wind model. It's not down. There are models we can get way down into very specific breaks, but just a general sense of what's going on here. Oahu here, Kauai here, Maui here. So what we're talking about here is northeast trades at 15 knots. This is today, pushing nearly 20 knots. And if you look at the North Shore, there's a pretty good amount of side lump running down the North Shore from these trades. As we get into Saturday morning, pretty much the same sort of thing. Northeast trades maybe turning just a hair bit more easterly as we get into Sunday, but still pretty much pushing down the North Shore at about 15 to 17 knots, something like that. Monday, really no change. If anything, the winds pick up a little bit. Then on Tuesday, well, there we go. Again, still the same sort of deal. And then finally on Wednesday, it looks like a normal trade pattern starts setting up, winds out of the east, lighter at 10 knots, that sort of thing. And as we get into Thursday, more of the same, and Friday, the same. So a couple of days here of not favorable trades, but not horrendous, just not as good as it could be. So putting it all together, we're going to start at the South Shore, tiny southern hemi swell coming in 1.3 feet at 16, 17 seconds. That would be about 2 foot Hawaiian. We'll say maybe chest high on the sets. That's on Saturday. On Sunday the 13th, about the same thing. Pure swell 1.4 feet at 14 to 15 seconds. Then on Monday, that background southern hemi swell starts fading from 1.2 feet at 13 to 14 seconds. So 1.5 foot. We'll call that waist high. And then really nothing after that. Maybe a little pulse possibly as we approach later in the work week into next weekend. But that's still very undecided. Winds generally out of the northeast. Not much of a problem on the South Shore. Then we look at the North Shore. This is where all the action is. On Saturday, there's going to be wind swell, still the same sort of thing that's going on, 4.8 feet at 9 to 10 seconds, so we'll call it 4.5 foot on the face, something like that. But the dateline swell, the first one, starting building to 1.9 feet at 18 seconds later, that should be about 3 foot. We'll give it head high, something like that. That swell builds to 4.3 feet at 15 seconds, so 6.5 foot Hawaiian, a couple of feet overhead on Sunday, with the wind swell starting to fade out. And then Monday, the dateline swell itself starts fading from 3.4 feet at 12 to 13 seconds, still about 4 feet, a couple feet overhead. And then residuals of that dateline swell fading out on Tuesday from 2.5 feet at 11 to 12 seconds. So we'll call it 2.5 foot Hawaiian. What's that, shoulder high? But the new possible dateline swell builds even bigger than the first one, 3.9 feet at 16 seconds later. We'll call it 6 feet, and that's later in the day. building to 6 feet at 13 to 14 seconds, 8-foot Hawaiian from 335 degrees. Trades northeast, pretty strong, both Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, they finally fall into a more normal east wind trade, pure trade pattern, and things start cleaning up. So fall is making its return. The southern hemi starting to go quiet. The South Shore starting to get quiet. Still some waves, but not a whole lot. Something to ride and to get you through the weekend, that sort of thing. But if you want a little bit more size, the North Shore is where the action's going to be. Certainly over the weekend, into the early part of next week, and then beyond with the second swell beyond that, and yet a third one possibly behind that. Trade's a bit of an issue over the weekend, but then as we get into the middle of the next week, they turn more pure easterly, and a cleaner setup prevails for the North Shore. All right, that's it for this week. Do all your shopping at Hawaiian South Shore. Be sure and like and subscribe and ring the bell. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Mahalo for checking us out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please continue supporting us by subscribing to our channel. Aloha.